ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Roundtable. You're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network, or you're watching us on Broadway World or over on YouTube. We're so excited. Our next guest burst into Broadway. We saw her in K-pop. We saw her in the national tour of Company. You may have even seen her be a translator on Succession, which, I mean, were we not all obsessed? I was obsessed. Well, I want to let you know that I love Out of the Box Theatrics. We've had a lot of the other shows here on the Roundtable. They do amazing work off-Broadway. And from September 4th till September 29th, down on Christopher Street, you need to come see what I want to see. I don't think I've ever said see so many times in a sentence, but it worked. Marina Kondo, welcome to the show.
Witnessing your tongue twister was amazing.
I didn't even realize it until I said you better see. Oh my goodness, so many C's.
Yes.
About this.
Thank you.
So tell us, how did this show come to you?
Well, actually, Adam Rothenberg and Emilio Ramos actually came to me about this passion project that they had. They loved the show, and apparently they've been talking about it for years. And when Out of the Box got the space of 154 Studios, or what they used to call the New Ohio Theater, they're like, I think this might actually happen. And if it does, we want to translate Kesa. And so back in probably December of last year, I took, during my 3-week layoff during the company tour, I worked tirelessly to try and translate this piece. And that's where we kind of started.
Wait, so you translated the piece?
Yes, I did.
What was that process like?
Well, I'm born in the Netherlands. I'm a first generation Japanese American. Both my parents are Japanese. And I was born and raised in Michigan. I've always had this dual hybrid kind of bilingual life. And, you know, I think it's weird when you grow up as a dual identity hybrid person, because you just don't know where life's going to take you, and especially in this theater industry. And turns out that it was really helpful for me to really be bilingual. And the translation, when I grew up, I watched musicals in Japan. I'm obviously obsessed with musicals, the Broadway here. And I've listened to a lot of translations, and I've learned that Japanese language is so tonal that it is actually very difficult to translate lyrics to Western melody. It is so married to Japanese melodies. It is very specific, actually. And I always found that so intriguing. And being bilingual and having no accent really helped me to do a lot of jazz concerts when I was a kid, starting at 9.
Wow.
And so I always had both in my pocket. And weirdly enough, I've done a few translating jobs, and it was always difficult. It takes so much more melody to say what you want to say. It takes so much more music to say what you want to say in Japanese. And so I was like, this, in a lot of ways, you have to make your own poetry. Western or Broadway musicals, it is a beautiful style that is very specific, usually AABA form, usually has a lot of rhymes, a lot of wordplay. There's so many fun things like alliterations and different things that you can do. Japanese is completely different. We don't have rhymes. And so when I was asked to do this piece, I thought, okay, I need to figure out my own version of poetry, knowing what it takes to make a Broadway musical work melodically, artistically, musically. How do I marry a Japanese language that is so not just easily translatable? And so I did a lot of research. Kesa is a more medieval Japanese time frame. So obviously Japanese has a lot of different kind of formalities depending on who you're talking to, what time frame you are. It takes a different kind of language. It's a whole different kind of vocabulary that you have to use. So I looked at this Japanese style of music that is an old, I would say, in American ways, I would describe it as a folk Japanese uh, gospel almost opera. It's like all these things combined. It's like a very specific sound, and the way that they use language in that music, it's called enka, is very picturesque, and they describe things like love, like climbing a mountain that's like burning. And so I use that as sort of like an inspiration and a starting point for me. And Michael John LaCuscia is obviously a brilliant writer. He is one of the greats. And and he wrote a melody that actually is so, you could tell how much research he did to write Kesa. And weirdly enough, it was not as hard as I thought it would be.
Wow. Well,
sorry, I just said so much.
no, please. I am so happy you absolutely did. When I read the press release and I see that it says she translated, I don't think she translated the show, like translated the show. And while I have you here, while we're here, we might as well talk about it. See what I want to see. Which is it's out of the box theatrics, and I want you to see the picture. I want you to know that it's coming in September. I want you to know that you have it's a limited run, so you need to get your tickets. And I want, while we're talking, people to know where they can get their tickets. All you have to do is go to OOTB Theatrics, out of the box theatrics.com, get your tickets, and we could follow Marina on Instagram so we could stay up to date as to what else she's doing, because she's translated things like For Company and Frozen's tour and her part in Succession and all of those things. So if you're somebody who's interested, she can be your real life Rosetta Stone right there on Instagram. I'm sitting in Michigan right now. You said you're from Michigan.
Yes, I am.
And I moved here 2 weeks ago. I miss New York, but I do enjoy the Michigan.
It's honestly America's best kept secret. All my friends kind of say it too secretly, because, Michigan's like a destination place. Like, there are no toll roads in Michigan because people don't just go through Michigan. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but honestly, it's like if you're going to Michigan, you're going to Michigan. There's nowhere else you can go. It's like a peninsula. And I mean, the nature, the hikes, the Great Lakes, like it is like, it's like the Caribbean. People say it's like the Caribbean of the Midwest.
Well, I'm a Jersey through and through, 40 years in New Jersey, and I was never leaving until I found my own Detroiter here. And now I'm a Michigander now. So I made fun of him because I said, beaches in Michigan. Are you kidding? No, they're beaches in Michigan. So your journey takes you from first generation American through Michigan to Broadway and beyond. How do you sum up this journey? When did this become the dream?
Well, I've always known from a really young age. My mom has a PhD in early childhood music education from a university in Michigan called Oakland University. And she found a professor that she loved. And while raising 3 kids, she also pursued this music education journey. I went to Japanese school on Saturdays, as well as going to regular American school. And she was the music teacher at the Japanese school. And so I've always been in rhythmic classes that she was teaching. I was probably some of her like research as well when I was a kid. And my dad also is obsessed with jazz music, specifically jazz piano. So I always grew up with music around me. I did my first community theater in a local community theater place in Michigan called Lakeland Players. I believe it's West Bloomfield or Bloomfield Hills, one of the two. And I did Honk. I was Fluffy. I'm obsessed with that musical. And I really caught the bug. I moved around a lot in my life. I say that I'm from Michigan, but I really did move around every 2-3 years. And it's always led us back to Michigan because of my mom's PhD. It's been an insane journey. I really, I feel so lucky that I found something that I love to do so early on. I went to Interlochen Arts Academy. It's a boarding arts high school up north. I also went to the University of Michigan, got that in-state tuition at one of the best and with some of the best. And, I still see colleagues from my class, from years past, from years prior, ahead. And I've done young arts. I've always been involved.
It's so funny. Alexandra Sieber was on earlier. She went to
Yes.
Interlochen.
Mm-hmm.
My fiance, my man, went to the University of Michigan. There's a lot of artists who come from this state and then go on to do Broadway and et cetera. And when you look up, and I talk on the show with people every single day, and there's more and more people. It's amazing to me. You come to New York. What was it like when you got the phone call to do K-pop on Broadway, to like check the box of Broadway debut? If you want to know more about that show, if you missed a moment of that show, the album is out, and you can.
It's such a good one. Please listen. I love it.
You will dance yourself right down to wherever you go. What was it like to get the call that you were going to be there?
Well, I was part of the Off-Broadway production. I replaced Ashley Park. That was my first gig out of school. And that was back in 2017. I went to do other jobs, Frozen tour, the pandemic, went back to the Frozen tour, and I got a random email saying, would Marina be interested in swinging? And I was like, I want to make my Broadway debut so badly. And I respect swings. I worked with some of the best swings in the Frozen tour. I learned so much. And I also got to cover all the female principals. So I covered every female track in the show. And I was like, yeah, I think it's time for me to go and try something different and new. I also ended up being the assistant dance captain for that show. So I checked off a lot of boxes. And when I did one audition, since I've already done the show too, I did one audition with all the creative team and producers, and did a few sides and some songs. And then a couple of days later, I actually had COVID because I was coming back from vacation. And on like day 4 or 5 of me having COVID, I was taking myself on a walk that I went on either in the early morning or the afternoon when my family was gone doing other things. And during that walk, I got the call. And for that first time, I realized I really had COVID because I had pretty mild symptoms. I could not breathe. I collapsed on the ground being like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Like,
well, that's it. Once you do it, you're officially, a Broadway actor forever. And then you go on tour, and like we talked about, company and around the country, and got to do one of Sondheim's best for sure.
What a dream.
A dream. And then in your spare time, you just decide like, hey, I'll translate an entire musical, and then we'll put that up right here in New York City.
Yeah.
What is See What I Want to See about?
Okay, so See What I Want to See is based off of these 3 short stories written by this man called Yonosuke Akutagawa. And they are actually more concept short stories. There's no plot. There's no beginning, middle, and end. Sometimes it's these ideas of human like life. And Michael John LaCuisha he wrote 100, so many, but Michael John LaCuisha took 3 of those most famous 3 short stories and married them into one musical. The first act opens with Kesa, which is one of the short stories. It continues on as the first number in the second act. So the story is split. And then the rest of the first act is one of his short stories called In the Grove. And it is about a murder that happened between a husband, a wife, and a thief. And it is a series of interviews of a police person interviewing what happened. And they all tell their own version of what they think is the truth of what happened. So there's no plot. It literally is, this is what I thought, this is what I saw, this is what I experienced. It's set in a medieval time in the actual short story, but Michael John LaCuisha adapted it to New York 1950s style. We have an incredible cast, and I cannot believe, still, I'm pinching myself, getting to act with Ann Sanders, who's, an icon, especially in the Asian American industry. Zachary Noah Pizer, who is also a great friend of mine from K-pop, and to get to work together, we're best friends and we get to work together. Sam Seamock, Calvin Moonlo. It's a really fantastic group. Anyway, sorry, I had to say that.
You have to say that.
I have to say that. And then on the second act, we experience a completely different story. And it is about a priest who experiences a tragic loss, more of like he loses his faith. This priest loses his faith. And as a joke, decides to make fun of other people who have faith and make up this lie that this dragon is going to appear at this lake at this time at this day of the week at this place. And people actually start looking at this notice that this lie that this priest put up, and they start believing it. And then it becomes this thing where everyone in town starts believing it. And at first he was like, this is harmless, but as his lie turns into other people's truths, he starts questioning, what is what is the effect of that? And I won't spoil the end, but yeah, it's and Michael John LaCucia adapted it to current, more like 2000s New York City, located in Central Park.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
You left us with some juicy tidbits and some spoiler alerts, and that's why I want people to know once again that you got to get your tickets, and you can get your tickets over at Out of the Box Theatrics. Why Out of the Box Theatrics? What do they do there that made you feel like you're going to spend your time to not only perform for the next 4 weeks or so in the show, but spend all this time to you're a full AAPI cast. You are over there and Off-Broadway, where some of the best creative works are made, literally, where all the cool kids go to act and sing. And why this company? What have they done that you felt like this might be the right spot for this show?
Well, first of all, Out of the Box is quite literally out of the box. They wanted to create an intentional space for others, like for other artists who have been historically underrepresented, undervalued, and overlooked. And ever since gaining this space in 2003 at 154 Christopher Street, with this new home, they wanted to make an actual season. And I think, currently, I feel like Off-Broadway is where it's at. Broadway, it's hard, like it's commercial, and I see it. And I think, so much of the commercial aspect of it really takes charge on the decisions, the artistic decisions, most importantly to me. And a place like Out of the Box, which is a not-for-profit theater, it really focuses on the people, on the art, on the material, and puts that as a priority as opposed to what's going to make money. And it's at the end of the day, it is about selling tickets still. But I think the mission of this company stands at a very solid ground. And that's what's inspiring. And it makes us feel safe to try what we want to try. Oh my gosh. Here I go.
And see what you want to see.
Oh my gosh.
I love this company, and I love theater companies that give people the artistic space to worry about the art instead of worrying only about the commerce and only about the marketing, and all of that's important, but to be able to let the art and original art, new art, or redone art, or translated art, or for communities risk-taking communities that are not often seen, that don't have an artistic place to hear stories told, written, and starring communities, is so powerful.
Oh my gosh, so powerful. And I think, especially now, I think people are ready to see things like this. Like, I mean, you can even tell with this current Broadway season that a lot of these off-Broadway shows like Oh Mary and Stereophonic, they're moving to Broadway because it's so good. It's like, it's based on the art, and that material itself is so exhilarating that like people actually go to the theater, which is what it's about. Like, like it's actually quite simple, I feel. And the material that we get to do here, it feels really special, it feels really needed, it feels really relevant. And to be able to have that kind of support from people who are encouraging that, is, it feels like you're a feather, like it feels you're like really allowing yourself to be free.
Well, we love you. We love what you're doing. We love all of it. We want people to know that you can get your tickets. It's coming this September, so make sure you get your tickets. We're going to follow you on Marina Kondo, right out the name, right on Instagram, so it's nice and easy. And like we said, we're going to go to Out of the Box Theatrics. We're going to get our tickets, ootbtheatrics.com. And she sat down and translated this whole show for you. So
well, actually, it's just Kesa, just one number, but
still Marina. One of the numbers, but still.
It feels like it did translate, because the design of it all, and we're using puppetry, Japanese traditional puppetry. We're using like probably 3-4 forms of puppetry, which is such a cool thing to also play with. Like, it's not a very common thing. And I got to experience like puppetry to the extreme with Disney, with Frozen. We have Olaf, and the different kind of puppetry with Sven. So it's a very incredible way to do theater. I think it really shows a different element to human emotions, actually. And so it's a really unique show, and you should come see it.
Come on down. Make sure you come and see it. Congratulations. We know that there's so much more work for you. We know that there's going to be so much amazing things still to come, and we're here for it. We're here for the whole thing. See What I Want to See runs September 4th to the 19th at 154 Christopher Street. It used to be the New Ohio Theater, and now it's Out of the Box Theatrics. It's taken over and has their own space. Get your tickets. And Marina, we hope you come back. Our show is your show. Anytime you have something to say, anything you have going on, please come back and tell us all about it.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely getting to chat with you.
So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course.